is a test of the emergency broadcast system.
This is only a test.
DJs in MC. DJ, he gets it out.
Listen to this jockey's introduction to
Two DJs in a mic with your host, DJ Mike.
Is that a timetable?
And DJ JP.
Well, get on it. It's your turn.
Give me the mic.
Thank you guys again for joining us for Two DJs, One Mic. We have the honor of being here with two of the most important people with DJX, and that's Shawn and Jim. How are you guys doing?
Hey, greetings from New York.
Oh man, I thought you had that Barry White sound there.
Oh, me? Really? I love Barry White, but what was that intro? Was that Mobb Deep? What was that?
You know what? I can't even remember right offhand.
You had me doing this already.
Yeah.
It's a collaboration of something. I found it somewhere. I can't remember, but
I'm talking to you from about 5 blocks away from where they made that record. So
wow.
Yeah, I'm very close. I'm in near Queensbridge in Long Island City.
Queensbridge.
So a lot of famous rappers, DJs, and basketball players come from this neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a lot of history right there.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Yes. That's
she was all about the history.
When you said that.
Yeah, taking you back.
Yeah.
So thanks for having us, guys. We greatly appreciate it, and big shout out to everybody in Dallas.
Thank you.
Before we get started, we have to pay some bills. We'd like to thank our platinum sponsors, EV, Electro Voice, that is, for everything that they do for us, handling our mics, all our road gear. And again, we'd like to thank Curator Live, the #1 software product out there. The guys take care of us. If you want to hit them up, it's info at curatorlive.com.
Oh, yes.
And finally, we just added the other day, NFLX is now a platinum sponsor. If you need some products, some gear, hit up NFLX. Now, let's get to the show.
yes, sir. Thank you for paying the bills, sir.
We're starting off. We're just two of the spokes in the wheel, we should know. Jim certainly has been longer than all of them, more certainly longer than me and most of us, but we got a bunch of other people that are just
yeah. Y'all have a big team. Like I say, last year I went quietly as a mouse just to sit back and observe. I checked out, from the check-in window to the everything. And I just went to classes, seminars, and everything. I was a pure student last year. I didn't introduce myself to anybody, say nothing. I just came to learn. And I really found it to be one of the better shows. So,
well, we hope so. We've been doing it since 1990. So hopefully we know what we're doing by this point. But yeah, we appreciate you coming out. And, you can definitely stop and talk to us whenever you need to. I mean, I am running around a little bit, but
we will.
I'm very good at getting back at people if they give me a business card. I try to reconnect with folks after the show and try to remember their stories. And but yeah, at the show it's a little crazy.
Yeah, I know. That's why I didn't want to mess with anybody. I want to just come and be a guest or an attendee and check it all out and see how everything was. But before we dive too deep, we're going to ask this real quick question. Give us a little background on you guys. How did you get to this point in the industry?
The short version of the story is I joined DJ Times Magazine in 1990, a magazine that had been around since the end of 1988. Its original publisher, Vinny Testa, wanted to have a trade show that wanted to have the first real DJ trade show for professional jocks. And we did the very first DJ Expo in 1990. And we've done it every year since then, except the COVID year. There were years when we did 2 of them. So that's 34 years worth of shows.
34 years worth of shows.
Yeah, and DJ Times published from 1988 until 2021, when unfortunately our publisher Vinny Testa passed away. We rebooted as DJ Life magazine and kept the trade show and rebranded it as DJX. Atlantic City has been the main spot for us for the show, mainly because it is right in the center of the largest DJ market in North America. The East Coast has the most DJs. I mean, if you just go from New England all the way down to, Maryland, Virginia, DC, that area, there's just so many DJs, so many gigs, so much music, so many clubs. The festival scene is still live. So, the magazine hopefully reflects the market, and DJX hopefully reflects the market as well. And we want to get people fired up about their community, their business, their artistic endeavors, anything and everything that a DJ is involved with. We like to have something for them at DJX.
Okay, Shawn.
So if you look back at that time, I guess it was about that same time I started on the softball team that these guys were involved in, and I was collecting money for the magazines. Sure, I batted third, played shortstop. We can prove that. But I was always enamored by the company and what they did in the music industry and how progressive they were. I went on in my career to be involved in other lifestyle industries. I've been in the event space for about that same amount of time. Was running the second largest show in the country in life, certainly in the lifestyle category, which is a lot. I wound up leaving the group about a year before before COVID. I had been advising event companies and media companies in multiple areas. This one, certainly, I've always known and respected the team and just always fed off their passion, even when I was playing third base and shortstop at the time. I knew I had to retire when I got to second base, by the way. But at that point, we had an opportunity to really shift this business. And as Jim had said, unfortunately, the passing of the founder, my partner Robin has been involved with the business, I think, as long, Jim, or maybe.
Yeah, in fact, Robin and I have done every show since 1990. We've been involved in every show to some degree.
And so I was an event guy and a media, but event mostly first. These guys were a publishing company that ran an incredible event. And so looking at the business as we collectively just, saw where the market was and what was going on in the industry and what was happening, we felt that the ability to move to lifestyle as well as, the components are in the industry, but to broaden it because of the impact that this industry has on lifestyle is very influential. We decided to shift names and rebrand and reimagine our properties and become more collaborative and inclusive and focus on the community of what DJX today is about. We've really been meticulous about honoring the legacy of what was DJ Expo and DJ Times, and yet having a cultural relevance today that reflects the speed of things, the way things happen, the technologies behind the way things happen, and just the way the market has evolved. And talking about history, like you guys said before, Jim is definitely the guy that's got that history. But so having a bit of adding some new energy to it, and the sibling properties, I think the most compelling thing, and Robin would tell you this, and please stop by and see her at the show, Jay, since you didn't last time. But
no, I did.
This to you.
Sure, because I love the sign that y'all had up there. If you lose your badge, it's $50.
Yeah,
I'm sure that took a couple of years to learn. And then you take them away by scanning them, and then everybody says, "Where's my badge?" So, but Robin, and I'll tell you this, and I think it's a testament to the team that's been here for all these years, and today who we are. It's the reflecting the passion that this community has, and I think the greatest thing that we get out of it is watching the community come together and do business and evolve and grow. It's really just an amazing thing. It's a lot of hard work, which is why Jim's not as available, and maybe me a little less so sometimes on the show floor. But it's a good tandem. And,
one of the things that's really stood out over the years is really the evolution of the DJ culture. Whereas now DJs, you see them in television commercials. They're everywhere. The DJ culture has really put itself in the mainstream culture. Whereas when we were first starting, there were very few DJ specific retailers where you could buy DJ gear. A lot of the manufacturers who made products for DJs didn't even know they made products for DJs. They might make loudspeakers and power amps, but they didn't really respect the DJ culture that much. It really not until the mid 90s when they started to make powered loudspeakers and they understood. So we were always kind of like pushing for the culture in a big way. And that included all kinds of musics, whether it was
very much so.
Yeah, very. There's a lot of obviously.
It's kind of amazing if you look at the history.
DJ-driven music. Yeah.
So it's funny you kind of read right into our next question. What are some of the most significant changes, trends in the industry that you've observed over the years? And like you say, music, more people catering toward DJs, more featured DJs, more. I mean, just if you really look at it now, back then we just thought of it as a lot of people still today as a hobby, but now you can really look at it as a job, a career.
Yeah, and a lot of that is reflected in the music. Like, I mean, I'm sure you guys remember there was let's just use hip hop as an example. Hip hop was viewed very much as a fad in like the 80s. It was like, well, this is going to come and go. This is going to be like Chubby Checker or something, and then it's going to be over. Whereas what it did was it dug into the culture overall. It wasn't just this DJ-driven culture in the beginning. It became something that was bigger. On the other side, you had this sort of like electronic music thing where you had all these ravers getting together in these warehouses or wherever they're doing it. That became something that became overground. Again, it's a DJ-driven culture. Later on, you saw even rock bands starting to have DJs on stage with them. So the culture has exploded, and we've seen it expand hugely in the last 34 years that I've been with the magazine. And then, of course, you got the equipment side, and that evolution has been dramatic. I mean, back in the day, we had a lot of turntables, we had a lot of DJ mixers, we had a lot of hardware, we had a lot of power amplifiers at the trade shows and advertisers in the magazine. A lot of that has been boiled down to digital software and controllers. Making music is very digital these days. You don't really see power amps as much as you used to. So in a lot of ways, the industry has become more efficient for mobile DJs, club DJs, and studio jocks. And we have to pay attention to all of that, and we like to bring all of those companies and brands that represent that to the show.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Shawn.
No, to add to that, coming from my experience in the lifestyle space. Sorry, I was getting a little jump there. Sorry, Joe. I look at it, it's really compelling. The world I came out of was, we dealt with music and DJs, and we hired them and all that. We were running very large events in fashion, and it is lifestyle. And I've been in that business for a long time, but I look at this industry and what I've learned from Jim, which I still refer to as, Jim's boot camp, as he's taught me about the industry and how it's ebbed and flowed over the years. But if you think about what Jim just said and what even what we were talking about before we got on air and the passion, think about the beauty of the impact that the DJ world has, the influence, and what makes it really intriguing is how authentic it is. That to me has a lot of growth opportunity to put this category, as opposed to what Jim once said to me was, get out of my radio station. You're not making your own music and you're taking away my money. Right. And today it's look at the impact that it has and how it's outlasted so much. And if you even look on a business side, the metrics, the growth is crazy in this business, but it's the passion and the influence and the authenticity that makes that impactful. For me, when I come out of a 5,500-year-old industry into a 50-year-old industry, I look at this as look at the opportunities that lie ahead and the obstacles that can be avoided, because it's just such a passionate, talented world that that we swim in.
And one of the things that's really different about the DJ culture from more traditional musicians is there's a certain entrepreneurial spirit, or you might just want to call it hustle. But people, they take care of they grab a hold of their career and they do it themselves. Whether you're a mobile DJ doing weddings, whether you're a street DJ throwing parties or making mixtapes or finding an MC to work with, it's kind of on you. You know, for the most part, the DJs aren't sitting around waiting with their hand out, waiting for somebody to discover them. They're creating their own future. They're creating their own destiny. And people ask me all the time what it's like to interview, you know, some of these famous DJs. And one of the commonalities with all of them, whether you're talking about a Jam Master Jay or a Fatboy Slim, is that those guys started their careers and they saw where it was going. They threw their own parties. Jam Master Jay was in charge of, like, you know, the fashion for Run DMC, for example. So he had a complete vision from top to bottom. It wasn't an accident that he got where he got. It was because he had an idea of what he wanted to do, and that street DJ culture allowed him to do it. And he was one of the first to really break through. So that's something that's always very exciting about talking to these guys, because they have an idea of where they want to go.
Yes, and without that idea, it just makes it so hard to get to where you're trying to go.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
And their ability to share it, right, Jim? They share these ideas.
Hopefully
If you
they'll
look at
share
an
it.
event
Yeah.
like ours, that's what they're doing.
oh yes, So with that being said, how do you guys go about curating for speaker lineup for DJX, and what are some of the key factors that you consider when selecting speakers and performers?
There's well, part of it comes down to subject. There are certain subjects that are sort of evergreen. You know, a lot of DJs make a lot of money doing weddings, and they have to find new and interesting ways to sell and market themselves. So just looking at the mobile DJ side of it, there's a significant component there. And I take proposals from certain DJs. There's certain DJs I have back every year because they're good performers or good presenters, I should say. They come up with good ideas. Sometimes people come up with ideas and I don't like them, and we hash it out in the months ahead of time. There are certain ideas that I come up with. For example, if there's a particular trend that's happening, I'll try to find a purveyor of that trend or somebody who has distinct knowledge about it to talk about it. And those trends could be musical trends, gear trends, social media trends. That's obviously a big thing these days. But yeah, a lot goes into it. I mean, I try to, and also let's not forget that we have sponsored seminars as well. Those are from brands that are on the show floor. Yeah. And we'll have anywhere from like 8 to 10 or 12 of them a year. But yeah, a lot of work goes into it, a lot of back and forth. You know, some people come up with the same ideas and I have to differentiate them. But what we're trying to do is attract mobile DJs, club DJs, bedroom DJs, studio DJs, every kind of DJ. We like to have something for them. But we also realize that the majority of the DJs that come to the show are DJs who are mobile, who are playing some sort of parties, carrying their gear.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that I think that is an untapped market, because you know the list that you named, out of that list, from what I've seen so far, we don't have a lot of club DJs that make it to these shows. I see a lot of guys that are in the wedding industry, or if you can consider corporate being its own thing, but like
mobile,
we'll just say mobile DJ.
Yeah.
In the club scene, it just seems like an untapped market when it comes to education.
We actually do have club DJs. And one thing you got to remember, too, is a lot of these mobile DJs also do play clubs and bars as well. They make most of their money doing weddings and, mitzvahs and corporates and whatnot. But we always do have seminars for them. Some of the seminars are, studio oriented. And we've had a lot of club seminars over the years. We might not have had as many last year, but there was a couple. There definitely were. I mean, we have about 35 seminars. I think this year, we're going to have 36 or 37. I can't remember the number exactly.
Mike didn't go with me last year, so I was going to let him.
There's a lot, yeah. I mean,
a lot of club DJs, a lot of different DJs, guys. It was about 2,000 DJs there. So.
Well, I guess, at that show it's different than, all of the shows are different, but when you said,
And
you know,
just
why
to give you an
guys,
idea,
but what I was saying when you spoke about why you guys chose, you know, Jersey, Atlantic City, and the makeup of, you know, the DJs and so forth, I can see that being a plus there for you guys because there's so many clubs on the East Coast.
There's a ton, yeah, and a lot of venues, period, where DJs can play. I mean, I'm not sure what it's like in Dallas, but here in New York City, if you go to Saks to go clothes shopping, there's a DJ in there. If you, you know what I mean? If you go to these malls, I mean, there's jocks playing Saturday afternoon at the Armani store or whatever. There's just a lot of opportunity for DJs here, and as I'd mentioned, you know, it's within a 5-hour drive of a lot of major cities.
Yeah.
And we've, like I said in the past, we did 3 shows in LA, we did 2 in San Francisco, we did 1 in Chicago, 1 in Orlando, 1 in Vegas years ago. And the vibrancy of the market it's unmatched on the East Coast because people will get in their car and drive. Whereas, I hate to say it, but in certain places out west, LA, they won't even drive across the street to go see something because it's just like, oh my God, I got to get on the 405. It's like, whereas here, people will come down from Maine, people will come down from Ohio, people will come up from Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, and they'll come here because they know this is the epicenter of the DJ world, certainly for that week.
Yeah, it was a lot of different jocks from a lot of different places. Mostly East Coast DJs, but a lot of different.
Yeah, we get some from Canada as well. Yeah,
yeah. It was a wide variety of people to talk to.
Shawn, you had something.
actually, I'm getting a little bit of a delay, guys. I'm getting a little bit of a delay. Yeah. A couple of things. To Jim's point about, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yes, you're good.
To Jim's point about, you know, evolving and diversifying what we do, you're starting to see that, to your point, Mike, before in the attendance side. And we're looking at numbers, and again, not to sound corporate, but I looked at it while we were talking and I was getting chopped up. You know, the growth of club DJs actually has gone up. All categories have, but we've focused a lot. We have a video I'll send you afterwards that you can see about what we are looking to do and when we came and rebranded, and really to speak to all the components of DJs that Jim was talking about. So it is interesting. And Jim, you know, what I've learned is, and I spent a lot of time going out to clubs and venues and watching guys break down, helping them break down, finding out what their needs are. You know, my 1:30 in the mornings on Fridays and Saturday nights, which I talk about, I think every time we're on air, but you learn a lot. And yeah, nobody speaks more to it, certainly internally, than Jim does. So not to repeat what he's saying, but I think where you see that happening is that's part of what we were talking about before about trend and lifestyle. What more ways can we make money? How do we have an impact? And that brings about, certainly with technology, the branding component behind it. And what we try to reflect, not just in the array of seminars that Jim curates every year, but how we reflect those things on the show floor as well, you know, and the ability to get those components of the show together, but also from our audience. You know, it's collaborative, it's inclusive, it's a show, you know, by DJs for DJs. You know, you're a part of that. We want you to have that ownership over what we all produce. We're part of that community. But it is evolving, you know, and there's more clubs coming, you know, to go to that. There's more radio stations, mixed show hosts. You're seeing those peripheries of how we starting to evolve is really where I was going.
Also, we have evening events that are obviously in nightlife venues. Just as an example, on our opening night this year, we're going to be doing a party at HQ2, which is a major nightclub in Atlantic City, with all the production. And we're really thrilled to be bringing in Gimme Gimme Disco, which is a party brand that is big all over the United States. So yeah, we have the club experience as well. We'll be doing events inside the Hard Rock at a variety of different venues. So yeah, our After Dark series is done in nightclubs.
Yeah, definitely nice. I enjoyed the parties last year. That one club we went to Monday night was really, really cool. The TV, the display in that room was incredible.
Yeah, that's HQ2. Yeah, they really do it upscale.
Yeah. So the night parties are really nice, but keep it moving. All right. With technology rapidly advancing, how do you see the role of DJ evolving in the next 5 to 10 years? You know, the question everybody wants to ask: are we going to get replaced by AI? What do you guys think?
I don't think DJs are necessarily going to get replaced by AI. I think for the moment, AI can be useful in their marketing approach. I think, listen, we're only slaves to algorithms as much as we allow ourselves to be, and like what your phone tells you to like, or what Netflix says you might like. I mean, that's kind of like, yes, that's AI. Those are algorithms. Those are things that are sort of like herding us in a certain direction. But as it relates to music, I think a good DJ always is in tune with the audience in front of him or her. And I'm not sure AI can actually replace that. And I'll give you an example. I remember I used to DJ in this bar out in Long Island, and what I would do is I would look at the audience, the people who would come in, people who would come in the door, and I would try to guess how old they were, and I would try to guess what songs were big when they were like seniors in high school. And very often I would hit it right, and I'd be like, "Oh, how do you know that I love this Sublime song?" It's like, well, it's not that hard, but the point is, AI can't do that.
No,
a DJ has to do that.
A lot of people can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, no, listen, trust me, there's DJs out there who are almost like mind melders. They're incredible and way beyond whatever I could do. But that's just an example. I mean, I can't imagine a DJ doing what Grandmaster Flash does. I can't imagine a DJ doing what an AI rather doing what Danny Tenaglia does, or any of these DJs who take you on a journey. And because they look at the audience and they react to the audience. It's a synergistic thing. It's a real thing. It's a living thing. If you've ever got in front of an audience and you realize things aren't working, you got to change up quick. And you got to know where to go.
Yeah, that's a good answer for what's going on.
Oh yeah,
I hope so.
We haven't.
DJs are going to be involved in everything because they're early adopters at just about everything. Yeah, I mean they take things that are not intended for their use and they use them to the best of their abilities. Classic example goes back to like, the 808, the 909, and the 303. Those were products that were not made for DJs, and all of a sudden they make house and techno music out of it. And trust me, Roland was not counting on that.
No, they weren't, but they were glad they got it, I'm sure.
Yeah, now it's iconic, exactly.
Yes, and I've said this several times, the industry itself was brought about by doing something that you wasn't told to do, or no one said to take two turntables and a mixer and put them together and bring them together as a union.
Yeah.
And, put your hand on this record and go up and, backwards and forward. Yeah. No one.
Yeah. It's fascinating when you hear guys like Theodore and Flash talk about those early days, some of the early DJs. Some of it was happenstance, it was accident, kismet, whatever you want to call it. But they invented something that did not exist before. Yeah. And it was a DJ who did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the common challenges that DJs face today that DJX aim to address and support?
Well, one of the things in the last decade or so is the ability to market yourself online. And I hate to say that it's part of the things that every DJ needs to know, but it should really be in a DJ's toolbox. If you're a mobile DJ, you need to get in front of people. So, we try to show you ways to do SEO, to get rankings on Google. Those, unfortunately and fortunately, social media has become a big part of the DJ world. Some of it is just hype. Some of it is just, BS with all my followers or whatever. I'm talking about people who want to get gigs. I'm talking about people who want to be found so that they can get gigs. That's a challenge. So what I found in the last 10 years or so is you have these mobile DJs who were really, really big in their market. And all of a sudden they're looking around and they're going, who are these 23-year-old guys who are taking my gigs? It's like, well, they know how to market themselves in the modern sense. So you got to get with it and figure out how to do that. So we have seminars that speak to that. That's a big challenge. the technology is moving fast. The various software programs, the
gear. Yeah.
Everybody knows. Yeah. I mean, there's certain things that are not supported. You got to really pay attention to what's going on. And the brands are moving fast as well. They're doing their best to move as fast. So it's up to the DJ to find out what works best for him or for her, and use that. I'm not going to say this is a piece of advice, but you might not want to get completely caught up in all of the new stuff. You want to probably check it out first and make sure it's right for you. Obviously, a way to do that is to go to DJX. Another way to do that is to go online and read stuff. Another way to do that is to go into your local retailer and put your hands on the gear and check it out. Because the gear and the hardware and the software is evolving quickly.
Yeah.
Every day. Go ahead.
To add to that a little bit, what does DJX do about it? There are the human side, not necessarily the business side. Many of them are one-man bands that are 8-armed octopuses at the same time, and managing all of that technology and their business at the same time, and their lives. So I think there's the buying power that an individual DJ does not yet have, I think, is something that's really important to address. I think looking towards the future, educating, each other in the future, which obviously Jim talked about. But we started, you may have noticed, Jay, last year, we launched a summer camp with Coach Hoppa called Next. And it's a program that's beyond a summer camp. It's a contest that's online, but it's also frankly, it's a commitment that we've made. And we hope that the industry comes together to commit to the future to kind of create that bridge. I think that there's also a lot of opportunity for the new and the old that Jim was talking about before to learn from each other. And you see that in a lot of industries as well. So I think that continuously coming to markets like ours or speaking what your needs are, we try to evolve them. We have a launch on the show floor this year called The Edit. I think we had talked about that a while ago, Jay, when we first spoke. But The Edit is a new dynamic on a new neighborhood on the floor. It's curated. It's specific to recording, music production, and you see that trend and that convergence happening inevitably in the market. So this is an area for DJs to build upon opportunities with the recording production studio community, and there's a lot of overlap there. And so we try to identify certainly the challenges that are out there, the obstacles, and create workarounds or opportunities, and provide hopefully enough data. We do surveys. We just did something earlier this year that was pretty compelling, about trends and optimism and perspectives on their business specific to the mobile DJ community. And we learn from that, and we want to share that information and get feedback and develop where we are. So, and help the industry move forward. We're a show and a media company, meaning with the content that certainly on Jim's side puts out enormous amount of content, is a reflection of the industry that we represent. Yeah. And understanding it and how it moves and where it's going is integral. And you see that in what Jim's team writes about, to the newsletters we put out, to the activations on the show floor.
And obviously one of the big things that is a big trend in the DJ world, and also something that we like to talk about at DJX, is what we're doing right now. Content creation, streaming, broadcasting, podcasts, YouTube channels. That has become sort of its own cottage industry, certainly since COVID. And so we have seminars that reflect that. We're also going to have a space that allows people to do that at the show. So we have to bring all of this in to be part of the bigger DJ community.
You guys are great interviews, because every question we have on our list, y'all kind of lead into it like this. How do you see the intersection of DJing and creative industries such as music production impacting the future? So everything that we're talking about, you guys are kind of hitting on it. Our list of questions.
Well, yeah. Hopefully, we kind of know some of this stuff, and we've been prepping for it. For a whole year. I mean, basically, when one show ends, the next one begins, because a lot of the fresh ideas for improvements or little changes, a lot of that comes from right after the last show.
Yeah.
And when the show is over, we do our own surveys of attendees and brands that come to the show. But also, I go to other trade shows and I see how they do things. I see the good and the bad, and I'll borrow from the best and try to adapt it to what we do at DJX.
So, quick question. Survey-wise, do you get good feedback? Does everybody do the surveys?
Depends.
I know it can help if we get people to do them. So, on the average, do you?
It always helps. Yeah, because sometimes
difference in.
It does. In fact, sometimes we hear responses from people who don't do trade shows, have never done them, and they don't fully understand what goes on behind them, and that's fine. They come up with suggestions that we can never do. But you will get these suggestions where you're just like, you know what, that's a good idea. Maybe we can use that or tweak it or do something different with it. And yeah, I'll give you an example of how surveys have helped us. For years and years and years, we did the trade show from noon to 6 this year. We're reacting to some of the responses we've gotten. We've expanded it from 11 to 6. Okay. People are happy with coming earlier. That's fine. We're curious to see how many people show up at 11. We think people are still going to be knocking down the doors.
What day is that? That's on what?
So just to give a short layout of the show runs August 5 to 8 at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Mm-hmm. The first day, August 5th, is all seminars and parties at night. The show floor opens on Tuesday. It's open on Tuesday and Wednesday from 11 to 6, and then it's open on Thursday, August 8th from 11 to 3. And so we'll have seminars running pretty much from 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the morning until 6. And then we'll have after dark events at night.
Okay. So the showroom
and to add to that,
2.5 days show floor.
Okay, 2.5 days. All right.
Go ahead, Shawn.
Yeah, so to add to that, interviews like this, feedback that you get from your crowd after the show, a conversation that you have, this is all part of it. The summer camp started that way. Edit kind of started that way. Understanding, where we're going. We're launching something else called Sunset Sessions this year, which is your after dark experience, post-show and education when the show floor closes. And the education.
I saw that QSC is over. One of those. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and more to be announced from major brands. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So what's exciting about it is we're able to be very responsive to the feedback and the needs. Obviously, we can't manipulate every single question or just want that's out there. But going back to your question about how do people fill out the surveys, and I will tell you, really, and I've been with this company approaching 3 years now, our shift in going more digital has allowed us the magazine is being read in 142 countries. We have a reach of nearly 5 million a year, not including social media. We have open rates that are sitting on newsletters and emails and advertising that sits at 46%, which is astronomical.
That's good.
Wow.
I don't care about the amount of followers you have. I care about the engagement that we have. And to speak to those kinds of questions, it's about the engagement. And that's where you get this information, right? It's not just being a wedding crasher when the guy's breaking down his DJ booth and helping him load his truck at the end of the night, 1:30 in the morning, and asking questions. It's a survey. It's Jim and his team and being in the market. It's the newsletters. I think what makes us unique at DJX, as that's the focus of this conversation, is we are fully integrated 360-degree media company. And what that means is from, podcast to customized content to award-winning content in journalism, true journalism, which is something I admire the most about this business, to find us on Apple News or Google News. So, you have that access there. Video, YouTube, the socials, TV shows that we're working on, apps and technology that we're looking to develop in this business. They're all ways of communicating messaging. Last year, you may have noticed, Jay, that we launched talking about AI, the first ever AI-generated DJ comic book series, and
What?
it was about our messaging. Yeah, you mean I don't know if you can see my screen, but
Yes.
I'm the villain.
the pieces for it. We'll give you a copy at the show.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, sure. But it's speaking the language in any way that we can speak it, and it's finding the ways to connect to that. And what's unique about it is that it all culminates in an event once a year that is the largest and most impactful event in the Americas for 30 odd years running. You can't say that about a lot of events in general. And one of the things that I found very attractive about this company is that they have the content and that goes on and it's impactful, but it always culminates in an event. And that's the blend between how you message and develop relationships. That's how you do business. And it also allows us to be B2B and B2C, which you're finding a more balanced version of today. So it puts us in a unique position to help the industry at a lot of levels, and a lot of components and facets of it.
Yeah, the level of quality at the show is really good and something that we're very grateful for. It's obviously good for the brands that come because they want to sort of talk to the upper tier of the DJ market, but it's also great for attendees for the networking portions of it, because you can talk to perhaps the top jock in, I don't know, fill in the blank city, and he's not competing with you. So you can actually share some secrets over a drink or a coffee in the morning. There's just a lot of ideas going around, and there's also a lot of inspiration going around. I think when you see people who are successful, it makes you want to be successful. It makes you ask, how did they become successful? What's the key to their success? And I think a lot of that is in the air at DJX.
That is such a quotable, tweetable. Being around success makes you want to smell and be successful. I mean, I think that's what got me the first one I went to. I've been hooked on these shows ever since. And like, it took me a while to get to DJX, but I came last year and I really, really enjoyed it. And I was praying that me and Mike got to go this year. Or I was going back anyway, but I'm just glad we get to come, as influencers or interviewers and get to share and spread this to everybody. But it's really, I mean, it's totally different because there's so many DJs that's there. Like you say, hallway, lunchtime conversations.
Sure. At the clubs at night.
They introduced all the new Pioneer products last year with Jay talking about everything, and then Michael Walter in the main room. And one of my favorites, Jordan St. John. Man, he said some AI stuff that blew my mind last year. So
yeah, he's back. So and Mike Walter's back as well. Mike's going to have a couple of seminars, including one where he's bringing a couple lawyers, where you can talk about contracts and things that you definitely want to have in your contract and things you definitely don't want to have in your contract.
And that's the things like that I tell people you can't get by sitting at home.
No, you can't find this on Google.
Yeah, you can't find it on Google. I mean,
and you can ask questions after the seminar.
You can actually go talk to the lawyer after it's over because they make themselves accessible.
They're not charging you for that 45 minutes.
And make sure he's on the list. Make sure they're on the list, Sean.
That's a good free one.
Yeah, we
definitely check that one out. That's on Wednesday.
Yeah,
To Jim's point, one of the most compelling things I have heard is one, how many people take vacations on this week so they could be there? But two, how many stories I've heard in the short amount of time I've been in the space where people were going to give up DJing and then they saw a Mike Walter, they spoke to a Jim or some of these attorneys, and it turned them around. It gave them that oomph. And today they're glad they stayed with the game. I have never in all my years of doing, being in the event and media space, ever heard anything like that. And it's truly incredible. That's to the inspiration that happens and the camaraderie that it speaks to, and the impact of the education. People think of education as you sit in a room, but the education happens, and Jim crafts and curates that this way, but it happens throughout the hallways, in the men's rooms, on the beach, on the balcony, throughout the registration areas.
Everywhere.
Yeah, and you run into, he's one of the ones that likes to get lost in the hallways and the bowels, and I'm like, where we supposed to be talking to somebody? I can't find it for 15, 20, because he done got snatched in a room and talking to somebody. So it's just so much that happens at these shows that you just can't get sitting at home or, like you say, on Google or YouTube.
Yeah, we're right on the boardwalk in Atlantic City, right on the Atlantic Ocean. So there's a lot of things nearby that you can check out. There's a ton to do inside the Hard Rock as well.
Shopping, good food. You want to take your bathing suit and walk it. The beach is right there. You can walk out on the beach. It's really incredible.
Yeah. So
we started the show at 11 this year because the sun blasts right through in the morning, right? So you're gonna have to get up early anyway. You might as well be there. But part of it is because we're people want to do business, right? And that's part of what that's about. Mike, when you're walking the hallways, I got a couple of hiding spots for you if you need. Just let me know.
You don't need to give him none. He'll find them.
Well, for me, I just know one of the most important things is relationships.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like having the opportunity to build a relationship, with people that have the same likes and desires that you do, and that they see things differently. We're all products of how we view our experiences. And I'm always intrigued by that. And those conversations, and I'm just a firm believer that it doesn't matter how gifted you are. If someone is not willing to open the door and allow you to go through that door, then you'll just be someone that's gifted that no one knows about.
Yeah, this show has a lot of people that have been coming over and over again to experience and network, but also friendships have been forged at the expo. A lot of times, people who come from various parts of the country, it's the only time they get to see some of the other people. And you can see that these friendships are genuine. And it's like you said, it's people doing the same thing you're doing. So nobody can quite understand your experience the same way as somebody else who's doing the exact same job, even if it's on the other side of the country. So you definitely see a lot of camaraderie.
Yeah. And to see to that, the show floor this year will reflect a lot of that. I hope I'm not taking your next question, but we've evolved the show floor.
No, we're jumping around, but
go ahead. Wait. This year, just a couple of things. We have the DJX Annex, which is a meetup space on the show floor for the first time. You may have seen bars, but it'll be near a bar, but there'll be a bunch of tables and chairs, and we'll have an opportunity to sit and talk and on the other side of the stage and engage. We have a wedding lounge on the floor, the vinyl shop and the portable. We'll have a wedding lounge on the floor where wedding DJs, it's being mostly sponsored or in part sponsored by Wedding Pro. They've got some communication ahead of them in the market, and they're excited to talk to DJs and engage in the community in that regard. They've got a lot of interesting data and information, but we've created a space on the floor where you can engage with some of their DJs and learn about what's going on in the market from those DJs. They'll be serving like a caffeine hour. There'll be a power hour during the course of the day to get you to have some coffee. We'll see that throughout the floor, but it's a place to gather. So we try and do it by community, whether you're in production and recording with the edit and that environment, whether we are in, the wedding component specifically, or as you said, wedding and corporate, to lifestyle. We'll have a DIY jewelry kind of build your own jewelry bar going on at the floor for DJs. That will be exciting. Still trying to get a tattoo artist and a shave and haircut guy, but I'm not sure that'll happen this year.
Also, Wedding Pro and the Knot will be doing a seminar on Wednesday as well. That's specific to selling and marketing to weddings.
Okay. Wow.
We'll also this year be introducing Luther. If you didn't get that email, Luther is a military-grade street legal Humvee that has been converted into a full-blown DJ booth that runs through New York City.
I saw it. I was wondering about it. I was like, is that
a good photo moment, guys?
If that's some DJ doing that, or is that something that's really cool? I like that. Yeah.
It'll be next to the meetup. You'll certainly be able to see and work and do it. We're working on some details to, announce after the fact there. But
I'm getting super excited already.
So let me ask you.
The key is to make you engage in the market, because those points of interest, whether you're crate hunting, right, for vinyl, or you're interested in portability or recording, or you're focused on the wedding and corporate markets, we're creating dwelling places for like-minded, beyond the DJ umbrella, but the niche components of it to be represented. And that's what Jim had said earlier. Club, mobile, studio. And to inspire the bedroom DJ and producer.
Are we still? And you're going to do the influencer space too, right?
Yeah, which is kind of an inverted way of what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Right? Let's bring your audience live to you and reverse engineer the process a little bit and see how that goes.
And on the Tuesday, we're going to have a seminar that's all about social media marketing, content creation, etc.
Have you released the?
Yeah, this actually we did.
Is that up yet?
It's up. It's on the site, and we're
I've been
going to
looking for it, so I know what I got to mark off. So I know what I got.
Yeah, it's up there. We can.
DJXshow.com/education. Right.
Okay. All right. Cool. But Mike was trying to get in a question. I'm gonna let him get in his question.
He is so excited over here, and I'm excited for him. But it just seems like you guys have just covered everything that needs to be covered, at this particular time. And it's always good to see, the envelope being pushed.
Yeah.
And it's nothing like what you're talking about with the surveys. It's more inviting when people know that they have a voice and that their voice is being heard.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I mean that's true. I mean, and then on the other end, it's helpful to have people curate the event, and people. I'm fortunate that I get to go out and participate in this culture, and I get to see things up close. And I go to other trade shows and see what works and what doesn't. So whether you're in my ear, sending me an email, we want to be reactive to the market and give them what they want and what we think they might need.
So let me ask you this, Jim. No, I know you say you've been doing this since 1990. Let's go back to 1990 or prior to that. Did you ever foresee things happening the way that they're happening now?
I mean, to some degree, I thought that DJs were not fully respected as artists, as businessmen, as part of the culture initially. So in a way, it kind of made us, I don't want to over dramatize it, but sort of fight a little bit for the DJ culture. I'll give you an example. In the early 90s, we would, and we still do, but back then we would go visit a lot of the brands and talk to them. And some of the brands had very confrontational meetings with us where they told us, well, we don't like DJs because they actually said this. We don't like DJs because they're taking money away from real musicians.
Oh, wow.
And I would come back to them and say, yeah, but do you know how many loudspeakers and power amps you're selling to these guys? And we would show them examples of DJs, for example, on the East Coast, who might have 10 or 12 different systems. That's what would get their attention. And I felt I was sort of like fighting for the market a little bit. But ultimately, yeah, it did evolve. I always kind of thought it would, because in the end, the brands, they want to make money. They want to, if they see this as an emerging market, if they understand it as an emerging market, and they can just sort of put the guitar out of their hands for a minute and just think about selling products. There was an enormous cultural shift going on, not just in America, everywhere. And it was fueled by hip hop. It was fueled by rave music. And it captured the younger generation. And now if you talk, we have interns and we hire young people right out of college. Most of those kids they're into hip hop or electronic music. They're not so much into the band scene anymore. Whether that's good or bad, that's not for me to say. But the reality is the DJ culture has taken over almost completely. So I'm not going to say I thought it would happen to this degree, but I thought it would happen to some degree.
That's really interesting that they kind of like they didn't want us,
Yeah, but you got to remember, what the 80s were like. 80s were big band time. There's still bands out there doing what they do, but they're not. The rock band isn't really in the top 40 anymore. It's really all DJ driven music, whether it's R&B, trap, hip hop, electronic. There's a lot of EDM stuff out there that's really big. Again, this is all DJ based music.
And you're right. You're definitely right. Shawn, let me ask you this. And I know you've touched on some things, But what was one of the most intriguing things about this industry that made you want to be a part of it?
The passion.
Wow.
The absolute passion of everybody I speak to. And to Jim's point, and the other side is Jim's boot camp, because the story he just told you, I was so enamored by, whether it's the DJ going into the radio station, whether it's Jim going overseas to convince manufacturers to advocate for the DJ, to see the passion that exists. You know, the pandemic is at least 2020 is behind us. And I'll say to you, when we came back in 2021, there could have been one exhibitor on the floor. It didn't matter. We were coming back for the community of it. And that's driven by that passion. What keeps me here is hoping that I can, my part of my spoke in the wheel of this company can add a little bit of like we talked before, to, reverse engineering or looking at ways to help the business evolve, the industry evolve, because I've seen some very similar patterns in fashion or art, industries. So I think what it amounts to is the passion and the authenticity, truly the authenticity of this business is so incredibly compelling that I think that's what's going to have the largest impact when we talk about lifestyle and you talk about consumer brands and you talk about, licensing opportunities and all the stuff we haven't gotten to deeply in this business yet. There, and it's about helping all aspects of it, whether it's helping that retailer beyond the show or a DJ, having an outlet to communicate that, whatever their needs may be in an environment, or to learn from one another, to inspire the future, to learn more skills. It really is an incredibly passionate, talented, want to do more group. And I've never been in an industry, as much as I've loved what I've done for a long time, that I could talk to guys till 3, 4 in the morning, and I do now, just because we've become friendly and I'm hearing about all these ideas that are out there. And so to me, it's magnetizing.
Wow.
No, I was just going to say, one of the things that I really appreciate, Shawn, is I think it's important to have people that are not necessarily in the business or DJs to be a part of the business, because you get the opportunity to see it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, to be successful the way that we can when we consider that. So I think it's a great thing that not only what you guys are doing, but how you're doing it.
Yeah.
And hear how you see it versus how Jim lives it is a beautiful thing.
And I think you guys.
The first show we did. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I think people need to see these backstories more about why and the passion that you guys have for putting on these seminars, and not just maybe the other ways they see it. But I really love the passion and why you guys do it. But go ahead.
No, I was just saying the first show that I did, guy came up to me on the first day. I don't remember whom, but it was like, well, you got to get you a DJ name. We got to get you and every day I got that conversation going. We got to get you a DJ name. And I was actually thinking about it. I was like, do I have a DJ? And then the last day I looked at him, I go, my name's Shawn. I'm not a DJ. And the truth is, I'd be disrespecting the DJ. I'm not a DJ. I love to cook, guys. I'm great in the queue. Come out to Long Island one day, but I'm not a chef. I'm not classically trained. And if you look at one of the videos that somebody recorded of me when I didn't realize it was recording it at our summer camp, I made a joke saying that, I don't DJ. I thought the thing was going to make me a cup of coffee, But that's not my role. You know what I mean? That's not my role. My role is I build communities. That's what I've done my whole life. And that's what I want to do here and enhance it, not build it, because it's been built, but bring it to the future, and continue its trajectory and make sure it's never going to hear the words again, get out of my radio station, or we don't make product for DJs. That should be done.
That's really good. I feel like I've learned so much about you guys and DJX today, more than I would have. My respect has grown tremendously just in this hour conversation. And I'm just, blown away by what y'all are trying to do in the industry. and we need more people to see it, and just
know
get the
about
feel that you're trying to educate. Not a lot of people probably see it as money grabs, or just they just doing something to do something. But
Well,
fix your guy.
money, that's
what I mean?
amusing. But yeah, no, I know what you're saying. But the reality is, this is what we do. We've been doing it for a long, long time.
34
We're
years.
a tight crew. We're an efficient crew. And we put it this way: if I weren't the editor of DJ Time or DJ Life at this point, I'd still be out checking out music, seeing DJs. This is what I do. So it's not going to change. I might as well have a living doing this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like I say, he said it. It's passion. Y'all have a passion for keeping the industry up to date, educated, together, growing, and just doing everything.
And trust me, there's things that we learn every year at the show. And a lot of it comes from somebody buttonholing me and talking to me, or I'll hear one of the seminar guys go off and discuss something that was maybe I hadn't thought of before. And like I say, I go to other trade shows as well and listen. So that's the whole thing. You got to be involved in the market. It's a 365-day a year thing for me. And so hopefully I can impart that knowledge along the way, and the market can impart knowledge to me that I can ultimately reflect in the magazine and the trade show.
Yeah. And I'll say this to that, guys. It's great to see your passion, as Jeff was saying, and it's a beautiful thing, and it should make people want to be a part, because from speaking with you guys and talking with Shawn through this entire process, the one thing that I see is that there's not stagnation. You guys are continuing to push.
Yeah.
You're continuing to push. And just the fact that you have your ears open and you're looking and you're engaged, that speaks volumes for me, because some people, they get to a point and they just feel like they've done it all and they know it all. And to me, once we get to that point is when you start to not know anything at all.
If we were like that, we would just have all turntables. I mean, this industry has evolved so dramatically and so quickly that you really, really have to be nimble to stay up with it. You have to pay attention to a lot of things. You have to talk to a lot of people, and that's not just manufacturers and retailers. It's the people making the music. It's the people doing the gigs. You have to be a sort of information omnivore and take it all in and try to disseminate it the best way that you can.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of work, but again, it's something I would probably be doing anyway. So we're really grateful for the people who support us and come to the show. We're certainly grateful to folks like you who are helping push the message. And if we didn't mention it, it's DJXShow.com. I don't know if we mentioned that.
Screen down there. I put it up.
Is it okay? Cool. Yeah. And if you want to see the seminars, it's DJXShow.com / education.
Yeah, and I was going to
flip out that and registration if you want to attend, right?
It's all on that website.
Yeah. Yeah. So, are there any? Everybody has something they live by. We call it a gym, and it's something we do on every show. And is there a gym that you guys would like to leave our audience with?
Never stop learning. I mean, that's about it. Never lose your curiosity, and never stop learning.
Mr. Shawn?
The impossible takes just a little longer.
I like that.
Hey, and one other question I want to sneak in. We got a couple of seconds. I'm gonna do this. Hey, something. I know you only been there for 3 years, Shawn, but what is something that you guys have seen at the shows? Your most memorable moments from a DJX show
that we can report on publicly?
Yeah,
of course.
Please.
Jim, you told me it wasn't going to be that kind of interview.
Right.
Just something that just a memorable moment you've had at the show that's just been, stuck with you and make you come back next year. It's kind of like hitting a good golf shot. You're stuck for 18
Our first show that I was at, my first show, which was after the pandemic in 21. I was on the floor racing around. There's just maybe 12 minutes to 12. You're starting to sweat. I'm the moron in a sport jacket wearing a white shirt, which I had to learn. It's black only now. But my partner called me and she said, "Come outside, come outside, come outside." And I was like, "I can't. I'm playing." She goes, "Come outside." And I opened the door and I saw a sea of people.
That line.
And it was the first show that we did as partners under the DJX umbrella officially. And we got teary-eyed. Really just got teary-eyed. And I think if I had to back that up, because that was my moment, the best was last year at Next. And seeing kids that never saw a console or a mixer in their lives that were playing and representing a set 2 days later on the boardwalk. And to me, it's about that future. To me, that keeps me going every day. I've always followed the sun in my work, but to see it happen like that in front of you, it there's nothing more exciting about that to me.
Yeah, for me, it was something similar. It was the very first show in 1990 at Merv Griffin's Resorts in Atlantic City. And we were waiting for the fire marshal to give us the okay to open the trade show floor. And it was the same thing. We were all inside, and I was there with Vinny Testa, the original publisher. And we looked outside, and we saw this enormous line of people. And Vinny just looked at us, and he's like, "I think this is going to work." So
yeah, last year I saw that line. I waited about an hour. I said, I can't go no man.
Yeah, I mean, believe me, we're grateful to see it every year, and we definitely don't take it for granted. But we also want to put on a show that's worthy, and hopefully we'll do it again this year.
Oh yeah, it's going to be good. I can't wait. I'm ready to get to Atlantic City already. Can't wait to get there Sunday, see you guys, and then hang out and just do everything that we are trying to do while we're there.
Pray for good weather. Yeah.
Well, we don't need good weather. We got a beautiful casino.
It helps.
Yeah. It helps to go outside and walk to somewhere, but hey, you don't even have to go outdoors if you don't want to.
That's true.
Yeah. But guys, we want to thank you for your time. It's been
you guys.
You can't wait to see y'all, meet y'all face to face, meet you personally. This time I introduce myself. I won't just walk around like the quiet mouse that
I think I'll recognize you this time.
Yeah.
Or hear your voice.
Yes.
Exactly.
Mike, you got anything?
Well, yes. Well, to piggyback, we're just grateful for the opportunity, to help to continue to push this beautiful thing that we've all fell in love with.
Yeah.
So we look forward to seeing you guys, and it's been an honor. Thank you guys for coming on. We wish you continued success, and it's been an honor.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Yes.
Same for us.
Yes.
Success for all of us.
Oh, yes, yes. So with that being said, we're going to close out, and we'll see you guys soon.
Soon.
Thank you, guys.
All right.